The post-mortem always says the same thing. Distribution 85% of the target, trade support was in place, media ran on schedule, the product was fine, it tested well, ticked the right boxes in the qualitative groups. And 6 months after launch, it's sitting in a dead zone. Too slow to justify the investments, too recent to kill without someone losing face. The debrief runs through the usual explanation. Communication wasn't sharp enough, trade activation was underfunded, the timing was off by a quarter. Someone even suggested the product needs a refresh. None of that is what happened. The problem started 18 months before launch, when someone, probably a smart, experienced person, sat down and wrote a brief. And the brief described the target consumer as health conscious, 25 to 45, above average income, and who value quality and convenience. The description is statistically defensible. It is widely used and it is commercially useless. It tells you what the person is, it tells you nothing about what they're trying to do when they need your product. The brief produces a category average product for a category average segment. The launch performed accordingly. Now, I want to be precise about this because this is not a criticism of the people who wrote the brief. The brief looks exactly like most innovation briefs in most fast-moving consumer good companies. It passes all the internal reviews and it satisfies all the stage gate criteria. The problem is not the quality of the brief, right? The problem is the question that the brief starts from. The fast-moving consumer innovation starts with a segmentation question. Who is your consumer? What comes back is a persona, demographic, attitude, stated preference, a name, Sandra, or Urban Alex, a stock photo. The brief gets built around that persona. Product design signals relevance to them, pack architecture attracts their attention on shelf, media targets that platform they use. None of this is wrong, exactly, but it organizes the entire innovation effort around the description of a person at rest, not a person in motion, not in a specific context, trying to accomplish something specific. Is this what is this person trying to do right now, given where they are, what they're just come from, who they're with, and what would make this moment feel resolved? That question sounds obvious when you read it. It is almost never what the brief actually asks. And here is why that matters structurally. Fast-moving consumer goods companies are organized around categories. So they build innovation that competes within categories, designed for segments that live within categories. But consumers don't live in categories. They live through moments. Take non-alcoholic beer. The category spent years launching product after product at health-conscious millennials reducing their alcohol intake. Most of those launches underperforms. The category remained niched, positioned somewhere between compromise and punishment. The brief kept describing the right person at rest, and it kept missing what that person was actually doing when they needed the product. Heineken 0.0 took a different route, not by targeting a healthier consumer, by naming the occasion that segment-centric thinking had ignored entirely. The working lunch where alcohol isn't appropriate, the design driver at the dinner, the training block where you want to social ritual, the cold drink, the glass, the moment of stopping, without the recovering cost the next morning. These aren't demographics, they are recurring life context, with specific triggers, specific constraints, and specific desired outcomes. And here is the key insight. The competitive set in each one of those moments is not another alcoholic beer. It's a sparkling water, it's a soft drink, it's opting out of the social moment entirely. That is a completely different competitive problem than how do we win the non-alc beer shelf. Same category, different starting question, completely different brief, different activation, different reason for being. The purchase of Heineken 00, which is the metric that tells you whether the consumer actually found what they were looking for, outpaced most of the segment for years. Not just because of better liquid, not just because of better or more media spend, because the occasional logic was built into every commercial decision from the brief forward. The tool I use for this is called a demand space. A demand space is a recurring life context where someone is trying to accomplish something specific, not a demographic, not a psychographic, a moment, with a trigger, a constraint, an emotional tone, and a desired outcome. When you start from demand spaces rather than the segment, three things change immediately. First, the competitive set becomes honest. You stop comparing your SKUs to others in your category and start asking, what else could serve this moment? And the question reveals white space segment-centric analysis never surface because your real competition often isn't in your Nielsen category data. The post-gym drink competes with protein bars, fast food, and nothing at all. Not just other functional beverages. The brief that acknowledges that is a fundamentally different brief. Second, the product designs get specific. A demand space has constraints, time pressure, social context, available formats, price tolerance. In that precise moment, those constraints make design choices obvious that segmentation leaves ambiguous. Format, portion, pack convenience, ease of opening while you're still sweating. These are defined by the occasion, not by the persona. The brief stops producing optionality and starts producing decisions. Third, the channel becomes precise. If the occasion is the post-gym moment, the product needs to be at the gym, at the point of need, visible when decision happens, not at a premium grocer targeting the health-conscious segment, which is a different occasion entirely. Occasion logic tells you where to be, not just who to target. This is not new thinking. The consumption ritual research that drives long-term brand equity reinforces it. What makes it persistently underused is simple. Acting on it means reorganizing the brief, the process, and eventually the portfolio around demand context rather than category hierarchies. That's the disruptive word. Here's the test I run on every innovation brief I look at. Find the section that describes the target consumer. Read it carefully. Then ask one question. Can I describe in a single sentence the specific moment in this person's actual life when they need this product? What just happened? Where are they? Who they are with? And what resolution they're looking for? If you can answer that in one sentence, the brief is grounded in a real demand context. Everything downstream, product pack, channel communication, is a foundation to build from. If you can't, the brief is category centric. The innovation will perform to category average. And the post-mortem, when it arrives, will most likely blame execution. Fixing the brief doesn't require a new research methodology. It doesn't require a 6-month segmentation study. It requires one discipline. Before writing a target consumer description, write a target occasion description first. Name the moment, describe the trigger, define the constraint, State what resolution looks like. Then let the occasion definition drive the consumer profile, not the other way around. Brands that grow consistently aren't smarter about consumers. They are more specific about context. They are obsessive about context. That shows up in every commercial decision they make, from the brief all the way to the shelf. If you're sitting with a brief right now that you know is category centric and you're just not sure how to fix it, I'll go deeper on the demand spaces framework in a future episode. Full walkthrough, how to map occasion, how to size the profit pool behind each one of them, and how to brief a product from context rather than segment. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. And if this episode matched something you've been seeing in your work, a launch that under-delivered, a post-mortem that blamed execution when the problem was upstream, I'd be interested to hear it. Drop your comment below. Thank you and see you soon. Bye-bye.